You have $10,000 sitting in your emergency fund. Congratulations. You're about to lose thousands of dollars to something almost nobody talks about. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people's emergency fund isn't actually protecting them. It's slowly bleeding money every single month, and they have absolutely no idea it's happening. It doesn't show up on a bank statement as a fee. There's no red flag, no warning email. It just quietly disappears, month after month, while you feel completely safe. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how much money you're probably losing right now, why almost every piece of standard financial advice on this topic is incomplete, and the 3 simple changes that turn a dead pile of cash into something that's actually working for you. So stick with me, because the last part is going to change how you think about that account for good. Let's start with what everyone's been taught. Save 3 to 6 months of expenses, put it somewhere safe, and don't touch it. That's the advice you've heard 100 times, from parents, from finance blogs, from that one uncle at Thanksgiving who suddenly becomes an economist. And on the surface, it sounds solid. You're being responsible. You're doing the right thing. Except most people stop right there. They hit the save 3 to 6 months part, feel proud of themselves, and never ask the next question. And that's exactly where the problem starts. Because here's what nobody tells you. Where you keep that money matters just as much as how much you save. You could do everything right by saving the correct amount and still lose thousands of dollars simply because of one decision you never even thought to question. Let's break down the 3 mistakes that are quietly draining almost every emergency fund in America right now. Mistake number 1, keeping it in a regular checking account. This is the default. It's where your paycheck lands, so it feels natural to just let the extra cash sit there too. The problem is that a typical checking account pays close to 0% interest. Some pay literally 0.01%. Meanwhile, inflation has been running at around 3% a year. That means every single day that money sits in that account, it's quietly losing purchasing power. $10,000 today buys noticeably less in 5 years, even though the number on the screen hasn't moved. You didn't lose the money to a scam or a bad investment. You lost it to doing nothing. Here's a number that puts this in perspective. If you keep $10,000 in a checking account for 5 years while inflation averages 3%, that money loses roughly $1,500 in real value. It still says $10,000 on your screen, but what it can actually buy has shrunk by 15%. That's not a small leak, that's a slow flood. Mistake number 2, oversizing it. This one sounds backwards, because we're always told more savings is better. But piling up 12, sometimes 18 months of expenses just in case isn't caution. It's opportunity cost hiding in plain sight. Every extra dollar sitting idle beyond what you actually need for real emergencies is a dollar that isn't earning a real return somewhere else, whether that's a retirement account, an index fund, or even just a slightly higher yield account. Money that's not working for you is quietly working against you, because inflation never takes a day off. And here's the part that really surprised me when I actually looked into how wealthy people manage this. They don't hoard emergency cash the way most financial advice tells you to. They keep a lean, well-defined buffer, and then they put everything past that number to work. Stick around, because in a minute, I'm going to show you exactly what that buffer should look like for you. Mistake number 3, and this is the one that trips up even people who did the first 2 things right, treating the fund as truly untouchable. This sounds responsible on paper. In reality, it creates a strange kind of financial paralysis. People convince themselves that using the fund means they've failed somehow, so when a real emergency hits, a car repair, a medical bill, a sudden job loss, they hesitate. And in that hesitation, they reach for a credit card instead, telling themselves they'll pay it off quickly. Weeks turn into months. Interest piles up. And now they're paying 20% interest on a credit card while thousands of dollars sit completely untouched in a savings account, doing nothing. The exact thing that was supposed to protect them from debt just quietly pushed them into it. So what actually works? Let's fix all 3 of these, one at a time. Fix number 1. Move your emergency fund out of that checking account and into a high-yield savings account. This isn't a risky move. It isn't investing. It's not tying your money up anywhere. It's the same safety, the same instant access, the same FDIC protection you already have. The only difference is the interest rate. Instead of earning next to nothing, that same $10,000 can actually earn several $100s a year just sitting there, doing exactly what it was already doing, except now it's working instead of leaking. Fix number 2, right-size the fund. Sit down and calculate your actual essential monthly expenses: rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, minimum debt payments. Not your full lifestyle, just what you'd need to survive a genuine gap in income. Multiply that by 3 to 6 months, depending on how stable your income is. If you're salaried with solid job security, 3 months is often plenty. If your income is irregular or you're the sole earner in your household, lean towards 6. Anything meaningfully beyond that number should be working somewhere else for your future, not sitting idle in the name of safety. Fix number 3, And this is the one people skip, but it might matter the most. Define, in writing, exactly what counts as an emergency before you're ever in one. Job loss, medical bill, essential car repair. Write the list down now, while you're calm and thinking clearly. Not in the middle of a crisis when stress is making every decision harder. When you already know the rules in advance, you remove the guilt and the hesitation. You stop treating the money like it's frozen behind glass, and you start treating it like the tool it was always meant to be. Do those 3 things. Move it to a high-yield account, right-size the number, and define your rules in advance. And your emergency fund stops being dead weight, sitting quietly in the background of your finances. It becomes what it was always supposed to be, real protection that actually works for you, instead of quietly working against you. If you've got money just sitting there right now that you haven't touched or checked on in months, this is your sign. Go look at where it actually lives, what it's actually earning, and whether it's actually sized the way your life needs it to be. Because the goal was never just to have an emergency fund. The goal was to have one that's actually doing its job.